Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farming, the podcast. This is your host, Jace D. Young, and today's topic and discussion is this: mistakes are good. And so today, guys, I want to talk about why mistakes are good. So it was a couple weeks ago now, I was watching, there was a video that popped up on my Facebook feed, and it was a video of Steve Jobs. And most of you guys should know who Steve Jobs is, creator of, Apple and iPhone and all this amazing technology that we use today. And anyways, inside of that video, he was doing a presentation. And during the presentation, he took some questions from the crowd. And, the presentation was open to everybody. It was just like one of the big public announcements that Apple does on an annual basis. And this one was from like back in the 90s. So this was before, he had cancer and everything like that. And one of the people, they came up and they asked the question, got in line, got to the mic, and they asked a pretty simple question. He goes, Steve, how do you feel about all the mistakes that you guys have made throughout the years? And the guy was like trying to knock him a little bit. You know what I mean? He was like trying to beat him down a little bit with that question. And Steve, I was just really intrigued and surprised by his response. And his response was something like this, and I'm going to butcher it. It's not word for word, but it was something around how mistakes are good, right? Because when we make mistakes, at least decisions are being made. And that really hit home with me. Because of my experience in my life, because of the experience I see all of our members going through as well. Because at the end of the day, all of us, we're all scared of making mistakes. But the thing is it's our perspective on what mistakes are, right? And are mistakes really a bad thing, or are they truly a good thing? Because at least that means decisions are being made. And a couple of weeks ago, I talked about this on a podcast around, just the power of taking action and the best thing that happens when you're taking action, even if it may be the wrong action, at least you're making a decision. At least you're taking some sort of action in your life, and there's going to be an outcome from it. There's going to be something that happens because of it. It could be good. It could be bad. But regardless, we're getting started on the journey that God has laid out for you, right? And if you're not willing to make mistakes, AKA decisions, then you are not setting yourself up with any opportunity to go down this path. Now, comparing this to how farmers or ranchers and young people on the farm react to this, like, guys, when I was growing up, it was, if I made a mistake on the feed yard or something like that, I was scrutinized heavily. I don't have to even paint a picture for you very well. When I say scrutinized, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. When you screw up on the farm and you're treated a certain way and yelled at and talked down to and everything, it's kind of like typical. I don't know. A lot of you guys listening to this, you probably watch Yellowstone. And the episode a couple weeks ago where Jimmy got sent down to the Sixes down in Texas, and the guy's getting in the pickup with him. I don't know if you guys noticed just how much they were just talking shit to Jimmy and just like mentally beating that guy down. And I was watching the show with my wife, and I looked at her and I said, you don't understand how true that actually is to what happens on these farm operations and ranches. Like, people just beat each other down, and you just kill somebody's every ounce of humility that guy had, or every ounce of confidence that guy had, was gone. Like when you just sit there and you get beat down over and over and over again. Those of you that watch the episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is what happens on these operations. And then again, it forms this idea in our minds that it's not okay to make mistakes. That if you make a mistake, you're a failure. You're never going to amount to anything. You failed at life if you make any mistakes. And guys, that's just not the truth. And I didn't understand that until I really got into 2018, 2019, starting Legacy Farmer and getting it up and off the ground, because there are countless mistakes it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. But here's the deal though. Those mistakes are where the learning happens. Those mistakes, unless you make a decision to move forward with whatever the decision is, there are going to come mistakes from this, but guess what? There comes the lessons too. And there was one episode I talked about making money, keeping money, growing money. In the making money phase is where you're making all the mistakes too. You're going to try to make some money, but you're also going to make all the mistakes as well. And as long as you learn from those mistakes, you can graduate into the keeping money phase, which I talked about in the episode is 50-50, right? It's 50-50 making money, or 50% making money and 50% keeping money. And the keeping money does not happen. You do not learn how to keep money unless at some point in your journey, you have chose to make a decision. That decision led to a mistake, and that mistake led to a lesson. And guys, it's just there's so much power in just getting off zero and just accepting the fact that, okay, I'm at this point in my life, my farm operation isn't making any money, or it's not at the scale that I want it to be, or just my life isn't where I want it to be. Okay, great. I want to get to here. right? I have this goal, I have this target out there. Okay, great. The first thing to do to get started there is to make a decision to move. But you also have to accept the responsibility that you're going to make mistakes along the way. And guys, here's like a tidbit for you. The only people in your life that are bitching about the mistakes that you're making are the people that aren't making any decisions themselves. Again, it goes back to players on the field versus fans in the stands. The fans in the stands want to bitch and moan and complain and talk down to and beat you down. And guess how many decisions those people are making? Guess how much action they're taking in their life? Not any. Not any. They're spectators. You're the show. And they're spectators. And they're going to sit there and just to keep their life exciting and give them something to do, that's what they do. But you have to understand here, guys, like in order to build anything great, you all want to build a legacy, you all want to build a big business or a big operation, a better life for your family, you're going to have to be willing to make some mistakes. And you're going to have to switch your frame on how you look at those mistakes because they're not bad. Mistakes are not a bad thing. This goes back to another point I want to mention. For those of you that have team members on your team and you are accustomed to criticizing them whenever they make a mistake, you need to understand what you're doing to them mentally. They will continue to make mistakes just because of the fear of making a mistake. The thing they're trying to avoid is exactly what they're actually going to do because they're scared of the repercussions they're going to get from you, their leader. Notice how I'm saying team member and leader, not employee and boss. You are their leader. If you're acting like a boss, then you're most likely like every other boss out there, which is kind of an a-hole. Most of them are a-holes, and they talk down to people. And instead of leading from the front, they're being pulled along in the back and letting everybody else take the brunt end of things before they even have to expose themselves at all. So you have to understand this stuff, guys. You have to be thinking through this because as a leader, again, if you're starting out and you're just a one-man show, okay, great. Eventually, you're going to be a leader. Eventually, you're going to learn enough mistakes. You're going to make enough money. You're going to learn enough lessons. Great. You're making decisions along the pathway. And along that pathway, when you're making decisions, God's going to open up specific doors for you. He's going to open up some opportunities for you. He's going to open up opportunities for you to learn and grow. And you will eventually get to the point to where you are a leader. You have people on your team. You have income. You are in the phase of keeping money and growing money. You're out of the making money phase. You have a team that takes care of that. But now it's your responsibility to lead them. And the best way to lead your team and to get them to where they perform at a high level and you retain them long term is to be okay with them making mistakes. Is to let them go along that path. Let them learn from their own mistakes. Let their mind figure things out. Like so many of us too, we expect our kids or somebody or even some of our people out there that you call them employees, you expect them to have a response or an answer right away. Like let people think. Let them process information for themselves. Let them make some decisions. Let them make some mistakes so they learn on their own, because then you're building a solid asset for you. You are building a team member that is a solid asset, and that team member is going to be more and more like you. More and more like you. Why? Because they're taking the same journey. They're making decisions. They're making mistakes. They're not being scrutinized for those mistakes. They're being talked to about them and making sure, okay, what's the lesson from this so we can learn something from this? And then they're moving on, and they will become a valuable asset now to your operation because of this. But guys, mistakes are the way. You can't avoid it. You cannot have a perfect life where you never make any mistakes. And a majority of you listening to this podcast, you're stuck in an operation. You don't like the way things are going. You could be working for your parents or working on the family operation. You're trying to get your own thing started and you're wondering why nothing's happening. Well, it's because of your inability to make decisions. And to understand, when I make decisions, some of them are going to result in mistakes. And mistakes ultimately have a positive outcome, which is a lesson. And it's so great, guys, because I've gotten into, with Legacy Farmer, we've made hundreds of mistakes. Oh my goodness, we've made so many mistakes. And you know what's great though, is when you don't try to hide it and you're like, hey, we screwed up here. We dropped the ball with the customer that you're serving or the person that you're working with or whatever. If they're a good business owner themselves and they had to start this journey the same way you did, guess how understanding they're going to be? They're most likely going to be pretty darn understanding. They're going to say, hey, yeah, no big deal. We get it. It happens. It's going to continue to happen or whatever as you grow and you're trying to do more things. Like it's just a part of life, guys. It's a part of life. But so many people, they never accomplish anything that they set out to do from the set or from the get-go because of their inability to make those decisions and understand that they're going to make mistakes along the way. It's just part of the process, guys. It really is. It's part of the process. It's part of growth. It's part of learning. It's part of becoming that ultimate version that you want to be and building that operation or that business or that life that you want for your family going forward. Like, guys, it's a non-negotiable cost that you have to pay. It's a non-negotiable expense that you are going to have to pay year after year after year after year. And when you look at business and you really break it down into its simplest form, a business is nothing but solving problems. And problems exist because of mistakes, right, that are made. right? So understand that's how you grow a business. That's how you grow something big. You look at Apple, right? It's like Steve Jobs understood this. He understood that, hey, yeah, we make decisions. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We learn from those. And because of that, we're able to build an iPhone or an iPad or just a company that is one of the most valuable companies in the world. And it's only there because of their ability to make decisions, make mistakes, learn from those, implement, course correct a little bit, and make things better. It's no different than what I'm trying to do in Legacy Farmer, guys. When we're adding in additional products and services, our game plan for 2022, there's going to be a lot of mistakes that we're going to make in that year, guaranteed. But it's all in an effort to fine tune and make such a valuable product for our members, such a valuable product for our members that they never want to leave because of the value that they get here, because of the service that they get here. And in order to get to that level, there's going to be mistakes along the way. It's part of it. It's the price you pay. You're going to lose people along the way. Deal with it. It's part of it. It's part of growth. And if the people leave your life, then just consider the simple opportunity that God never expected them to be there long term anyway. Never planned for them to be there long term anyway. So my friends, if you take away anything from this episode, just be okay with making mistakes and just make a freaking decision and move forward. Some of you guys have been stuck in the same freaking hamster wheel for years. Some of you for decades, just doing the same shit over and over, expecting different results and still not happening. How do I know this? We have members that are joining in November and December into Legacy Farmer that we talked to a year and a half ago. And they're like, yeah, nothing's changed. We're ready to move. Yeah, exactly. Because it has nothing to do, like hopefully Legacy Farmer is going to be the answer for them. Hopefully they turn into great customers and long-term customers. They find a ton of value here. But consider it's like simply because they didn't make a decision. Like if they would have made a decision 18 months ago, maybe it's not Legacy Farmer, maybe it's something else. Then they would be so much further ahead, because that decision would have led to a mistake or something like that. And then they would have learned something and then they move on to the next one. But you just got to be willing to walk that path, which consists of decision after decision after decision, which equals mistake after mistake after mistake, which equals lesson after lesson after lesson. And not every decision is going to be a mistake either, my friends. But most of them in the beginning, they are. 8 out of 10, they are. Well, great. The two ones that were wins, the 2 ones that weren't a mistake, that were the right decision to make, those are going to make you enough money to outweigh the 8 bad ones. I'm just telling you, that's been my experience. And if you're monitoring your numbers and keeping track of everything like we help all the members in Legacy Farmer doing, you are going to get there much, much faster. So my friends, hope you found this episode valuable. Hope it opens up some things for you. Hope it sends you into some deep thinking about some decisions that you have been avoiding that you need to make. And anyways, yeah, hope you found it valuable, and we will catch you on the next episode.